All right. Cool. So where have we been for like the last 3 months?
I don't know.
Because technically, chronologically, this will be the first time we've recorded anything in like about that time.
Oh. I don't know.
I don't know. We want to do a bit on this or not?
Yeah, I mean, let's just do a bit on it. Let's don't worry about chronological stuff.
Well, it's so weird because it's like anyone who's listening to this, as Jeremy is noticing, I'm choking myself trying to put a coffee pot back. Yeah, but coffee pot can stay. No, coffee pot's not going to stay. Yeah, now we're just going to do a bit on coffee pots because this is where the podcast has gone now. The weird part is that when you have stuff on backlog, you end up weirdly chopping things up chronologically. So it's like you release something and it's like, we recorded this in August. And it's actually like premiered in November or whatever.
Yeah, no, I got you.
So that's what I think's. Oh, well, we don't need to do a bit on that. We should actually start. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, folks. Welcome to Karate Without Belts. I'm, as always, John.
I'm Jeremy.
We are back in black.
There we go.
Or gray.
No.
I got dark blue on right now.
I got my old gray t-shirt. It's all good. So.
Which is apparently some sort of staple of karate podcasting for whatever reason. It's not, I don't know. So we're back. Jeremy, it's been way too long. How the hell are you doing?
It's just been very, very busy. So just between work and closing up rental houses and stuff like that for the winter, it's been busy. So
yeah,
hopefully things kind of calm down just a little bit. So get a little break. So
yeah, I know the feeling. I'm in somewhere much colder right now, but yeah, that's not too bad, actually, I would say. Overall, it feels much nicer and than kind of previous hardships. So, but less said about that, the better. Jeremy, how has training been for you recently?
Actually, it's been doing fairly decent. Been working out here and there a little bit, getting back into my routines and stuff. So
cool.
It was interesting. Picked up bow and Aku the other day, so that's the first time I'd been working with those in quite some time. So that was good.
I have to resign myself to not being able to work on either of those for the moment, just because of so it's a matter of like not having the space, like literally not having the space for it anymore, and then having to drag that stuff out or try to find a way of taking it out for that. So it's a little sad, but at the same time, I've never, as much as I've ever tried, I've never been that guy to be like, I'm a bow guy.
No, I'm more of, okay, we'll look at the weapons and like, okay, that looks pretty good. All right, we'll work on that. So anymore. So
I think I learned from you more than anything else that to like go more two-handed smaller weapons than anything else.
I just like either or. So just depends on what day it is. So
that's a luxury I think some of us would love, but so to kind of grab people's attention. So let's get political. You want to get political?
Sure. What the hell? Not enough of that going around.
Right, because that's the turn this podcast needed to become. Like just to get on the radar is to get political. Start taking like hard stances. Because the title of the podcast takes actually no hard stance whatsoever. Like people don't understand what it's about. they generally think we're talking about cat boys or like some sort of weird internet phenomenon, right?
Yeah, I mean, any more politics is basically the real pandemic. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Oh, if there was not a better statement made, sir. So, and this is weirdly affected karate. Weirdly. So which one should we start with? The more recent one or the one that came out this summer?
Hey, both are recent enough. What the heck? So I was just kind of.
All right.
Let's go with the summer one. That works.
Okay, so recently in the summer, what happened this summer, Jeremy? I mean,
Well,
other than
I can't remember exactly which countries it was, but I mean, we finally had the 2020 Olympics in 2021.
Oh yes,
and
in Japan.
in Japan, and there was the gold medal match between I forget which countries it was.
So it was Iran and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, because I think it was going to be Saudi Arabia's first gold medal ever in an Olympic event, if I remember right.
It was their first anyver anything in an Olympic event.
Yeah,
which was
yeah.
huge deal.
Yeah, and then the one guy gets knocked out. I mean, it was just one of those deals where he came in, the kick got him, and bam. I mean, wasn't so much that the guy had an illegal shot or anything like that. I mean, really, to me, it didn't look like it. Knocked the guy out. The guy who got knocked out ends up winning.
Well, he doesn't just end up winning. He ends up getting
the gold medal,
which is kind of a little bit of a difference, right? Because winning is one thing. A gold medal, an Olympic gold medal, is quite.
If I remember right, when they were giving the guy the gold medal, I think the guy was still wobbly, and I don't think he knew where he was at. And it's like, yeah, that's really great to show off your sport, and the guy's completely knocked out and he doesn't even know where he's at. Obviously, I'm not on the rules committee of, they have not called me to check the rules on all this stuff. I mean, I'm sorry, I call BS on that. That's crap.
I think the world over has called BS on this completely.
I mean, you're taking a contact sport and making it like tiddlywinks. I mean, come on. I mean, it's not tag. It's like.
Well, and people wonder why karate doesn't get taken seriously anymore.
Yeah.
This is like the Daniel San thing. Like this is how many people in the freaking world these days are being like, yay, Cobra Kai, all that other crap. But then this happens and there's weird coding to it in some ways. Like there's some weird political coding to it. There's weird racial coding to it. But I mean, above all that, right? We can take all that away and just to say the guy. Also, if we look at we are not going to turn into the reaction video podcast. I mean, this is a podcast and this is an audio format.
Yeah.
But if you look, the guy walks into it.
Yeah. It's like, I'm sorry you didn't have your hands up and didn't block. I'm sorry. Yeah. Too bad. Sorry. I hope you're okay, but you know what? You got into this. Too bad. Fart and get over it.
Yeah, so it's like the bigger thing here. I mean, the sadder thing is that one guy was robbed of an Olympic gold he honestly should have gotten. Robbed of something that we can debate whether or not is a good thing or a bad thing, whether it's a right or a wrong thing, but still means something.
Right. I mean, it is definitely a level of accomplishment that very few people get. I mean, it's quite the prestigious accomplishment. But that whole thing was crap. I'm sorry. It really was.
Let's not compound this with the fact that this was even held at all, and then people would kind of go back and forth on like whether or not this thing should have even happened at all.
Right.
But the very fact that it was a big deal that Kata came into the Olympics, I think this was the first time, at least in living memory,
Yeah.
that we had karate in the Olympics.
Yeah.
And this happens.
Yeah.
What kind of message is this sending?
I mean, basically sending the message: why study karate? Just go into MMA because it's a lot more real. I mean, you might as well put WWE in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
The Undertaker doing Nahachi Showdown.
What? It's and don't get me wrong. Back in the day, I kind of enjoyed a little bit of the WWE myself. So that's kind of today I don't, but but still, it's at least it would have been entertaining. But
yeah, this is just sad. Like, I mean, this is actually kind of entertaining because if you see the video, he does the kick, gets the guy down, and then if you look at just the sheer look of joy on the guy's face, and like he does like a mini like skip and like kind of a dance, right?
Well, I will admit, I mean that was a good solid kick. I mean, it really was, but it's I don't get it, but I guess I'm not supposed to, so that's okay.
Well, because I went down to Okinawa this summer, and the boards of like everywhere around Okinawa was newspapers about how this guy from Okinawa got gold in the kata competition. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, right? But this doesn't get any like this got no news. Because the guy was from Okinawa, clearly they wanted, and it's karate, so they don't want to. So, like, it was a big thing coming from Okinawa and winning the gold medal in karate in the Olympics, right?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like New Zealand winning rugby. I mean,
I mean the people who do this all the time are professionals at it, where it comes from.
Or the USA winning gold in basketball. Guess what? It came from here. Same thing. It's cool. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next example because I think that's going to get a lot more meat and potatoes on a lot of this.
Yeah. So because we want to get political today, so why not talk about North Korea, kids? And so we have to preface this with that this is clearly odd. I don't know whose idea this was, why they thought it was a good idea. Jeremy, do you want to explain what these guys are doing?
They're doing, I mean, basically, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, it's basically Thomas Shawari, which basically it's board breaking, feats of strength, things like that. But I will admit it's fairly intense. A lot more intense than a lot of the demos you see around anymore. I mean, I do remember kind of the late '80s, early '90s. It would be a lot more intense like that, but where they're breaking chains, just by flexing their muscles, laying on a bed of nails and having concrete blocks broken over them, and I mean, basically
watermelons being cut open with swords around people's stomachs.
Yeah, and so I mean, it's
glass doesn't break that easily.
Well,
that guy had Hollywood glass. That was Hollywood glass. Ooh, no. So we just watched a guy get his nuts cracked by a hammer.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Okay, so they actually hit one of the guys. Okay, that's good. But I mean, at least they made contact. But I mean,
Cars. All
I
right,
will
good.
admit, jumping over the car, that's pretty impressive. I mean, I can't do that. I mean, so.
But okay,
But
what?
but I gotta say one thing, and just kind of a little bit off topic. I mean,
Sure.
not that I'm a big fan, but Kim Jong Un actually looks pretty good. I mean, he's got a nice suit on. He looks pretty good. So I'll just leave it at that. So
Jeremy it's the Jeremy Fashion Corner.
yeah, I mean,
Jeremy, the fashion is on for Jeremy right now. The fashion is on point.
hey, look, I mean, he does look good and doesn't just have that same black outfit that he normally wears. So it's just kind of a nice change. So I mean, good for
And
him. So cool.
his what is it? Weird digression, because we're getting into slight little bits of internet culture here. There is a very weird pocket of like communist women simps out there who are like Kim Jong Un's sister and this like Russian like chick that's an official. Like,
Yeah.
and there's like these guys on the internet who are like, yeah, we like communism because of these women, and it's like, wow, you guys just like gave into the propaganda full stop. You didn't even try to like question it. You were just like, there's a woman? Okay, we're in. Like, all right.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, so and away from the simp and fashion corner.
Yeah.
Um the I mean, yeah, I'd say the fashion's on point. Like he's not like wearing the like the fake like all these battles against the peasant revolt of like the five the five peasant revolts that happen every year because we're
Right.
miserating our own people. But it's like, yeah, they're clearly doing commercial with Gary. They're clearly like doing Hojo Undo stuff and like board breaking. But as you mentioned, is this really any different than like mall like in the 80s and 90s? You don't see it really much anymore, but like, is this
No, I mean it's a little more intense than some of the demos that you'd see now. I mean, at the street fairs and different things like that. But other than that, I mean, a lot of the same stuff. I mean, I'm not putting rebar up against my neck with another person trying to bend it. I'll admit that was kind of okay. Yeah, granted, it's Tom Shawari, but that was pretty intense. So
that's not out of nowhere though. There's some of the other stronger kung fu styles will do stuff like
yeah,
that. That's not coming out of nowhere.
yeah,
So,
no, oh no, I get it. I mean, don't expect me to do that anytime soon. I'm not doing that. So I'm just,
but it's just weird, right? Like it's just
I'm,
strange because you think about like that where it's like, okay, so in the 80s and 90s in the states, people used to do this to like demonstrate or like going this goes way back, but like
yeah,
in our experience, in like kind of modern experience, this is like what people used to do to like sell karate schools.
yeah.
What the hell is this doing?
I, I have no idea. I have no clue. But I mean, congratulations. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say about it. I mean,
The weird thing for me is that it's like because so we have that image in our head, and this is being done on like to show military strength.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's to get. I don't know. Maybe it's to get more funding for special forces over there. I have no idea. Yeah, I mean, to me, I think that would have been kind of a waste of time. But I'm I'm not over there, so I'm not running it. But that's beside the point. So
Jeremy, if you were running the North Korean army, what what would be your first order of business?
I have no idea, dude.
Now I'm pulling legs there. But and what I think is interesting here is like, all right, we have the one example on the one hand, the Olympics, right, where it's like that's a sanctioned public demonstration of karate, right? That's something that was kind of in the mix for a long time, despite the pandemic and all this other nonsense.
I think the only difference would have been is if they would have been playing Eye of the Tiger or Metallica or something like that in this demo, than the mall demos that you would have saw. Now, granted, the jumping over the car and the bending the steel rod, that was a little different. But I mean, most of that stuff, I mean, in one way, shape, or form, you used to see that in the 80s and 90s all the time. So,
well, and then now it's like being used as like a propaganda tool to do something, like, right, like this is just to show up as strength of a military. I feel it's like such a weird throwback to like, because think about it, do the Americans be able to do it these days, this kind of stuff these days? Like,
I don't think they'd waste their time. I mean, personally, I think they would. I mean, I've seen some stuff where you're getting into more basically MMA kind of matches or different. What do they call basically the bow with the blockers on the end of them? I can't remember what they call that.
oh, that's like what was that show called?
What, American Gladiator?
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff like that on YouTube, and
but think about the weird difference of aesthetic, right? So we kind of see that stuff as almost entertainment, more or less, right?
well,
But then this is being used to be like, let's show off our grand military might of our mighty country. And
well, I mean, it depends on who's getting hit and how hard you're getting hit. So,
yeah,
or I mean, you're not seeing more of a demonstration. I mean, you're seeing a demonstration, but you're not seeing a I mean, if that makes sense, it's not a real.
yeah.
It's not somewhat of a prepared demo, other than here, you're suited up, go. That's about all there is to prep.
Right. Yeah, I just feel that like this and what happened with the Olympics are almost like two sides of the opposite coin. Because one is an attempt to demonstrate some ruled karate, they're grand world organizations, everybody working together, coming into harmony with each other, right?
Yeah.
And just so unfairly and so weirdly decided on for no reason. On the other hand, you have this what is supposed to be either propaganda or some sort of political posturing, basically using stuff that people, saw at malls.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it just shows off the weird way people are using karate and martial arts training for odd ends that just end up failing in both regards.
Well, I mean, I think the question to ask from both of those and other demos and displays like this is, what's the long impact for karate throughout the martial arts world?
Yeah. Because with the Olympics, it was a huge deal.
Yeah.
And there were some people who were really, really not happy with how that resulted.
No. And I mean, granted, I wasn't somebody who was protesting it, but I definitely was. I thought that was completely stupid. But, I mean, how many people after seeing that looks at karate as an actual legitimate martial arts anymore? Seriously.
Well, yeah, and then it's like, what's going to happen? Like, would MMA? What would happen if MMA was in some way, shape, or form sanctioned for the Olympics?
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Right? Now think about that. It's like, in what way? Because judo has been in the Olympics, has never not been in the Olympics.
And since at least the 50s, at
Yeah.
least, or did it debut at the '64 Tokyo Games?
Probably.
I mean,
Never been in question, right? So it's been there for.
it was first included in the '64 Tokyo Games. Yep.
Yeah, it's been there for quite some time.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, is only the America's never exceeded in this. But yeah, it's been there fairly the whole time. But karate, this is our first go. This is one of the first goes.
I thought they tried it one other time. I could be wrong.
Taekwondo was in there, but
yeah, yep. And maybe that's what I'm thinking too. So
yeah, and the problem was following the WKF rules, and yeah, that's all it was doing.
yeah.
So which most people like. It's WKF is Japan's karate, and then this is why all the Okinawan people get mad.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't they can win for Kata all day long, but when it comes for Kumite, I've got Saudi Arabian guy from Iran with once at the end of the day, and then who really like it wasn't even a matter of the countries, it was a matter of the fact that like they took it away because some guy got knocked out. Then over here we have people breaking bricks and jumping over cars, and clearly trying to do like a severe extreme physical damage to themselves.
Yeah.
Which comes from age and tradition, brought into the modern day.
Yeah.
Yet like it almost the presentation of it is surreal and weird and ridiculous, and comes off in just this odd way.
Yeah. I mean,
so
yeah, it was strange, but it like I said, I mean both those kind of events, I think in the long run end up damaging karate and in the martial arts world, period. I mean, at least the reputation.
yeah.
And and then let's take it a step further even. Let's look at some of the stuff that comes out on bullshido.com. I mean
like that Bullshido has a long history, Jeremy. That's reaching out thousands and thousands of years.
Well, I mean, my hat tips off to that person because I mean, he's got at least an information stream to last himself for probably a good 40 years. It's like.
But Bullshido.com is a small little niche website.
Right.
These two things were like the Olympic Games.
I mean,
the most contentious countries in the world doing a public military demonstration that caught international news.
I get that, but I guess my point is, where does it start from? Where does it start from?
Because both of these things didn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that to where it propagates clear up to this, and and it's very clearly a problem. I mean, even somebody who is not familiar with karate at all could say like, okay, this person got knocked out, but this person also won the gold medal.
Right.
What? How does this whole karate thing work? I mean, that's what the average person's going to ask.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah.
This makes no
Like,
sense.
should karate even be in the Olympics again? And then, like, how is that even different from Taekwondo? And then it begs an even larger question. Then, what's the point of these public demonstrations?
Yeah.
What's the point? Why speak in public then?
Right.
Why speak out of turn? Because like then you're just then this is what ends up happening for a lot of people, because then they try to demonstrate something, they try to do something, and they end up with these odd demonstration. It comes off in a weird way, it goes off in this odd way, and then like the worst way you can take all of this, right? If you think about it, right, you go in just the bare like minimal weird directions. They didn't like the guy from Saudi Arabia. They didn't like they favored Iran or like you know what I mean, like then it goes in those weird directions, right?
Right.
And so I beg this question where it's like, okay, then what is a better way to demonstrate this? What is a better way to tap down on this type of stuff? How do you redirect people, right? How do you make up for that kind of embarrassment?
Yeah. And I mean, yeah. I mean, I would say definitely it opened up a Pandora's box. It opened up a Pandora's box. It's like, okay, now the box is open. What are you going to do with it? Yeah. And it's like, you go this way, you got a problem. You go that way, you got a problem. Okay, you change this part of it, you got a problem. Yeah, and probably your point is not allowing it back in the Olympics, at least for one or two Olympic seasons.
Yeah, which that's like what 8 years down the road.
Well, I mean, if things keep getting locked in, maybe 20 years. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? But it's like, but then it's like, no, don't hold this because there was money involved. Because the Olympics is like, the criticism of the Olympics is it's all about the money. It actually damages. I can go on and like go on the articles about like how this was more damaging to Tokyo than it was actually helpful. Because I mean I have deep personal opinions about this, but my main thing is that, of course, you go to Okinawa and the news on this is gonna be so much different because they don't want it to look like that, right?
Right. Well, I mean, and I guess that's where I'm getting back at it is like, you get back to that, and then you look at somebody who looks at it who is either training in karate or wanting to get into karate, and you look at something like that and you're like, what in the heck did I just see?
Yeah.
Why do I want to get in the middle of this? Why do I want to train in this? And so it's one of those things. So
it's interesting we're talking about this on Karate Day.
Yeah.
Right, of all things. Or
yeah.
it will be Karate Day. But
Yeah.
it's I feel this opens up a larger discussion, which will probably kick down the road a level from today, but of just like what is the overarching setup for demonstration of martial arts, and then what should be a better demonstration of martial arts.
I mean, the whole Thomas Shawori thing, or the act of that is, I mean, in some ways, it's kind of the flash factor. So in other words, it does draw people's interest. It does. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But is that all you're going to show? Are you going to show a very well-rounded demonstration of it, where you're looking at techniques, you're looking at exercises, techniques, kata, weaponry, some type of weaponry,
drills.
self-defense. Yeah, I mean,
Or,
have it somewhat well-rounded instead of just all one thing. So, but
yeah,
that's my point on it. But
yeah, and I think this is, which is, I just find it fascinating that stuff we just see at like a town fair or a mall or whatever, or like whatever festival or whatever.
street fair.
And it's now propaganda for a hostile nation.
you know you you're at the street fair down down at the stage. It's right next to the vendor who's doing fried butter. It's like
And now it's like, yes, Kim Jong Un in his nice in his good suit is clapping on,
but
and it's the
but
most surreal part of it.
yeah. But I mean, if you do go to the street fair, don't forget to go get your fried Pepsi. I mean, come on, don't forget about doing that. So.
Oh, and the owner of the dojo is this like 35-year-old divorced dad who's got a mustache, like where he's like mid 40s. He's on the second wife. He's got a mustache and rolling.
What was it on Napoleon Dynamite? What was it? Kenrick's Dough? Was that?
Yeah. Where it's basically that guy, just more in a traditional outfit.
You know what's sad is after being around the martial arts for 30 years, whenever that came out, you're like, I know that person. I know several of those people that are just like this guy.
And that comes from somewhere because that's in Midwest United States. It's exactly how those guys act. And then there's a weird reverberation to that, right? So that movie is distributed internationally, and then it's like, imagine like some bootleg copy of that gets in North Korea, and they're like, what is this? No. 30 years later, Kim Jong Un sitting there like this, and some military guy who's in his 50s has it in the back of his head, well, show those Americans what real martial arts is. It's not some man in parachute pants, right?
I mean, only if they got the North Korean flag and as their parachute pants. But anyway, that's beside the point. But
we just thought of a new genre of remaking movies just with in North Korean propaganda.
No, what was it? It's kind of like, I can't believe we're going to use this reference, but I mean, it's kind of like the movie Office Space.
I will use that reference. We will use that reference, of course.
Hey, one of the great classic movies. What's sad is how real life that movie really is to the IT and software development industry. That thing, it's like everybody laughs at it, but it's like, man, that's awful. I mean, it's like a Dilbert cartoon. It's like, man, that's really pretty brilliant. It's way too close to reality. So,
I mean, Dilbert's kind of there's some weird things with Scott Adams, but like, yeah, I'd say it's pretty accurate. But like, it really makes me think about like the consumption of martial arts from a media perspective, and it makes me think about like this is where we're at in 2021 with these public demonstrations that like which once were just guys who trained together 2 or 3 nights a week who loved what they did and they showed it, and not with that to this complete failure of understanding of what the martial arts is, or this complete use of it for nefarious purposes.
But I think this leads into a really good question. Where does karate go to now in order to promote itself?
And should that promotion should like and that goes into a larger question of should it be promoted or not?
Well, I mean, you look at it, look at martial arts as a whole. A lot of it's coming into an MMA type of genre, or I will say this. I mean, some of the stuff that's going on with like the boxing arena, like Fury Wilder 3, huge fight, huge fight. That's really kind of brought boxing back to I wouldn't say the forefront, but I definitely say there's more interest in boxing now with characters like Tyson Fury. I mean, even the Floyd Mayweather Conor McGregor fight.
Yeah.
I think that really kicked a lot of things up too.
Which is, and you bring up a really good point, whether or not it's like, should these things be promoted, or should they just kind of be the thing that like five guys do like on a Tuesday and Thursday night?
Or
to a degree, the longevity thing you need to, but
how should it be promoted?
Yeah, because these two examples here, no one wants this.
No,
no one wants this.
I mean, that's like rotten eggs on your face. I mean, it really is. And I'm not taking anything away from any. I mean, the demonstration that was done by North Korea. I mean, it was impressive to the intensity level and things like that. It was, but once again, it was a lot more intense than a lot of the demos that were done in the 80s and 90s at the malls, but still, it was very similar.
Yeah.
It's like, you really haven't advanced anything in 40 years.
And then, like, what's the point of even doing that? And we're just like, that's not what you're doing every night.
Yeah.
Like, that's not regular practice. Like, we're not logging.
You're not going to be training very long if you're breaking boards over your forearms and stuff like that every night.
Smashing your head through concrete.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, maybe you can practice jumping over cars, but that's effectively just gymnastics. Like,
true.
I mean, it's useful, I guess, but like, also those guys are clearly, like, probably overtrained to the point where it's like what they do every day, and that's not what a normal person's gonna do.
Right.
So.
Right. No, but like I said, I think the main question that all of us need to be asking is, how should karate be promoted? Should it still be, little demos at different street fairs or this or gatherings, or should you? I know a lot of things are like after school programs and different things like that. It's like, what? I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, to me, what I see it going into is, I think it's probably been like this for a lot longer than I want to admit, but it's more of a kid's activity than an actual serious art. And I think that's sad.
Well, I think that's true to a degree, but that it will only have longevity. You will only get the version of it you want if you have that version.
Right.
Because you cannot have that version. You cannot have the like true serious art without having the kids version. And I think there's a huge disparity with people with that.
But I mean, I see that as one of the few things that's actually promoting it, as opposed to. So.
And then they'll only promote that part. They won't have the other side of it, and that's what's really difficult and sad.
Yeah. So. I don't know. I mean, I definitely don't have the answers on this, but I mean,
it brings up good questions, though, and I think that's important. That's a more important thing to put out there.
Yeah.
Because I think to kind of like to put a bow on this is just to say, our point here isn't to be like, these two things, aren't they horrible? What should we do? Like, it's more to point out, like, well, this is the state of things.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we've got these two very, very different, but very, very legitimate, but also very, very high skilled, but also very, very odd and tone deaf versions of martial arts.
Yeah.
Being promoted in the world on an international level.
Yeah.
But, like, these people do not represent us. But like, at the same time, they do.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. It's just, yeah, I'm kind of at a loss of words. Just other than the questions I've asked. So,
Yeah. Well, perhaps we'll come back. We'll come back with some answers later. But I think this is a good way to kind of get the wheels greased again in terms of podcasting, but also in terms of kind of how things move forward. Because we can come up with as many topics as we want, but like I wouldn't bring this up unless it was something I felt was important to talk about. The Olympics thing was one thing, but the North Korea thing was like, holy crap! Like, and then you look at these two together. I'm sorry, there's more similarities than differences here. Very different contexts, but actually really not.
yeah.
So, yeah. So sorry, anybody who is like, well, we just want to hear some funny jokes and some talk about like Cobra Kai. Nah, that wasn't going to be today.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, in terms of training, Jeremy, what are you up to today? Or what are you up to this week?
I was going to continue, working on bow, AQ, Joe work. Also, according to the previous podcast, somebody's actually asked me to get them at least have some basic knowledge of Kama. So I even told them, I'm like, really, out of all the weapons,
we literally have you on record going on record being like, I don't like Kama.
I will admit, ever since that podcast, I try to pick up my Kama at least once or twice a week. Ever since then,
all right,
and so I still don't like them. But
can we call this Kama accountability?
Yeah, yeah, maybe. I will say this: I am getting a lot more familiar with them than I have in a long time. So, and I'm picking up some little nuances that I never really did before. So, and working with those and working with them on Tonfa, which is, as my old instructor used to say, this is the safe way to practice Kama. Use your Tonfa. So it's like, so.
There's a good sound. There's a good like meme if there ever was one. If somehow created be like that safe way to practice Kama, use Tonfa.
Use Tonfa. Don't buy the additional
wooden Kama. Like you're just handing over money to people. Like
stop doing that. And don't do that.
People are like Tonfa. What do we do with Tonfa? Use them as Kama.
Yeah, use them as Kama. So anyway,
freak people out less because there's no blade on there. Yeah, today's the 100 Kata challenge, so I'm going to be doing it later in the day with our friend Raul. So we're going to kind of be doing this in 2 countries, and we're going to be tackling Pasai.
Ooh.
Yeah, right.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know, right? That wasn't my idea. It was his, and he was like, "We can change it." I'm like, "No. We stuck to we put our flag in this ground. We're going to take it on." So that might be on the internet. That might not be on the internet. We will see how my new setup works. But
I would say probably after the 50th version, or the 50th time, you're going to be butter.
We'll see.
So.
Cool. We thought this was going to be more of a short one, but this actually ended up being a pretty decent one. All right. Jeremy, thanks so much for coming on, as always. And, everyone, remember, be careful of those cars, practice your jumping, and don't forget to keep training.